Okay, so this one time, back when I was a teen, we had this crazy thing happen, and it all came rushing back at a family reunion recently. I grew up way out in the sticks, where you could actually see the stars at night, and things were usually pretty chill, but every so often we'd get these super thick fogs rolling in, and when that happened, my folks would get seriously freaked out. I mean, they'd be locking all the doors, slamming the windows shut, the whole 9 yards. The biggest thing, though, was making sure all the curtains and blinds were totally closed. We'd ask them what the deal was, but they'd just say, "It's not polite to stare." It sounded like a weird thing to say, but they were dead serious and looked scared. Where we lived, it was basically the boonies. The cops were miles away, so you couldn't really count on them for anything. My dad is like the bravest dude I know. He's a total outdoorsman. He could take down a wild hog with his bare hands. But the thing that really made us realize how serious the fog was how he acted when it showed up. He'd get all clammy and scared and wouldn't even step foot outside unless he absolutely had to. Anyway, we get older and everything's cool. Then one day, our parents had to go out of state for like a week because some relative was kicking the bucket. They wanted us to go with them, but my brother, sister, and I were too busy with our own stuff to tag along. So they decided to just leave us home alone, which was awesome. They just told us to keep the house in one piece, and if the heavy fog showed up, to lock ourselves in. We said no problem, because seriously, a whole week by ourselves. Score. Then, a few nights later, we're all sound asleep, and this massive fog just rolls in out of nowhere. Ever since I was a kid, I've had this weird feeling whenever that fog comes around. It's like a sixth sense, I guess. And I swear, if I hadn't woken up when I did, things could have ended really badly. As soon as the fog started creeping in, I was wide awake. The hair on my arms was standing up. I looked around and the fog was so thick it was like something out of a horror. Remembering what my parents always told us, I ran to go wake up my brother. He saw the fog, freaked out, and started pulling all the curtains closed. I went across the hall to my sister's room. I thought she'd be asleep, but she was just sitting there, staring out the window. She didn't even notice me come in. I went over to see what she was looking at. At first, I didn't see anything, but then I spotted this dark shape getting bigger and closer. I was about to throw open the window and ask if it was someone we knew, but my sister grabbed my arm and shook her head. I knew better than to argue with her, so I just kept the window shut. Then she closed the blinds, and we went through the whole house, doing that routine our parents made us do. Finally, we were done, except for the bathroom and kitchen. My brother took the bathroom, and I headed to the kitchen while my sister checked the living room. What I saw when I walked in is something I'll never forget. Even now, living in the city when the fog rolls through, I still lock the doors and close the curtains. Standing in the kitchen, I saw my mother, but she wasn't right. She had this creepy, toothed smile, and her eyes were just hollow, like there was nothing human left inside her. It was like someone or something was wearing her skin. I still don't know if it was really her or something else pretending to be her. She said in this overly sweet voice that she was coming in and not to be afraid. The doorknob started turning and I just booked it towards the door. Whatever the heck it wasn't my mom, started to open the door, but I slammed it shut. It didn't like that, and it started banging on the door, yelling that it was my mother and that it wasn't polite to close the door on her. The banging got louder, and my brother and sister came running. They saw me holding the door shut against our mother, and they were totally confused. I would have been too if I hadn't seen its face. I knew I had to keep it out, so I yelled at them to help me. They didn't ask questions and just jumped in, and together we managed to lock the door on it. But we still had to close the kitchen blind. When we looked up, its eyes were just empty sockets, filled with this dark nothingness. Its mouth was open wide, like it was surprised we weren't letting it in. As we pulled the blind, its face came down with it, and my siblings and I did not break eye contact with it. And what it said as we finished closing the blind is something I will never forget. It's not polite to stare.